Welcome back to Ben Rants. And when I was a kid, people had good excuses for suing other people. There's no doubt about it. I love video games. I might not be as into video games as I am other things, but video games bring me lots of joy as well. My favorite genre is platformers because I love adventures and being able to free roam around worlds that game designers create. However, video games have also been affected by today's society of suckology, and that's what the subject of today's rant is. What's that? You're expecting a rant on censorship? Well, I'm sorry. As much as it sucks, it's a controversial issue, and I don't rant on controversial issues. Plus, it was really hard to figure out a way for me to rant about it without me sounding like I'm a heartless crackpot that doesn't care for children. But I will say, are naked women and certain words the worst things a child could be exposed to? So, there you go. Anyway, get ready for repetitiveness. Here's my rant on modern video games. Let's start with how video games have changed since I was a kid. When I was little, video games were just video games, and that's about it. Nowadays, video game consoles can do so much more. Now, you can hook your video game consoles up to the internet, allowing you to play with people you've never met. Also, you can download your favorite TV shows and movies onto your systems and watch them whenever you want. Other things they can do, but I don't want to be here all day. So, I'll just stop here. So, video game systems can do a lot more than when I was a kid. That's all well and good, but was it really necessary? I mean, we have CD players and DVD players that can do all that stuff. Do we really need to put it in our video game consoles? What's wrong with just playing a game? Leave well enough alone, why don't ya? Changed. Back in my day, games had lots of variety. There were puzzle games, platformers, shoot-em-ups, RPGs, handhelds, beat-em-ups, first-person shooters, third-person shooters, adventure games, horror games, and so many others. They also had games for adults and games for kids, as well as games for both. Everybody had something to be happy about. However, here's the variety that modern video games have to offer. Shooters, 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 more friggin' shooters! What the living truck? What is with all the friggin' first-person shooters? Okay, I know not all modern video games are shooters, but a lot of them are, and they seem to be all over the place. Why? Oh, I see. Because they're popular. I know that, but why are they popular? In my opinion, they're really not the most interesting games out there, and they really get old after a while. However, since people keep buying them, game makers keep making them, and so they just keep coming. While in the meantime, throwing creativity straight out the door. Give me a break. I mean, I get so annoyed when I hear, "Oh my gosh, Modern Warfare 3 is the best game ever!" It's one thing for it to be an opinion, but the funny thing is, that's what you said last year about Black Ops! And the same thing about Modern Warfare 2 the year before that! You'll be saying the exact same thing about the next game that comes out, so you're always going to keep changing your opinions. It never ends! The main reason I freaking hate FPSs is because they're the same freaking game over and over again. Don't shake your heads, you know I'm right. Don't believe me? More than half of the Call of Duty games take place in World War II, and all of them have the same basic formula. Shoot people. And that's it. Really? Where's the fun in that? Ooh, I'm killing somebody. I should feel really proud about myself. Wow, that just doesn't feel right to me. Well, me being a pacifist might play a factor in that, and I know that it's a game, but still. And I know killing people in games might give you an adrenaline rush, but doesn't that go away after a while? I think it does when I play them, even though I'm forced into playing them. It's my cousins again, so don't ask. So, that's why I hate FPSs. They lack variety, and they get boring after a while. And when there is a lot of FPSs being released every year, it doesn't help their fun factor either. Going back to what I mentioned earlier, video games now allow you to hook up to the internet and play with other people. Sounds like fun, right? Yeah, until you have to deal with tryhards and babies that treat the friggin' game like it matters to their lives. Come on, it's just a game. Learn to have fun. But no, there are certain people that whine and complain when you play with them online that they just ruin your gaming experience. Sure, you can find people that just play for fun, but more often than not, you're bound to have at least one person in your party that annoys the crap out of you. It especially sucks when you're playing with little kids who shouldn't even be allowed to play the kind of games you're playing. Gosh, parasprites haunt your very life. And play on live. I'm fine just playing by myself or inviting my friends over to play with me. At least then, if you tick your friend off, you'll have something to laugh at. Plus, another aspect of video games that seems to have been blown out of proportion recently is some people think that graphics make the game. Personally, I don't think graphics are that big of a deal unless I can't tell what something is, even if it's 2 feet in front of me in a game. But as the years go on, graphics continue to get better and better in video games. Of course, that's due to the increasing power of technology, but if you continue at this rate, then video games will look like real life eventually. Really? These are supposed to be video games. They're not supposed to be looking like real life. They're supposed to have their own little worlds that's different from ours. The great Ray Harryhausen sums this up in his quote, "You can't escape from a world away from reality if the world looks like reality itself." Exactly. So, once graphics get to a specific point, then stop them. Playing as real people. Games today is that people are constantly getting in an argument over which video game system is better. Some say PS3, others say Xbox 360. Let's think about this for a second. More than half of the games for each console aren't even exclusives, so a majority of the time, you can get the same game for both consoles. And are some of the exclusives for the consoles really that good? I don't know, I haven't played them. Next, there comes the debate on whose online is better. Since PS3 online is free, then I would go with that. I mean, if I have to listen to 10-year-olds cussing because they suck at a game, I'm not willing to pay any money for that. And people will say, but PS3 network got hacked. Hey, mistakes happen and they fix the problem, so quit witching about it. And finally, there is the debate on who has the best graphics. Considering what I said earlier, who gives a crap about graphics? However, even though you might bring this up, you still have to listen to people arguing about which system is better. To which I would say, what about the Wii? No, I'm not kidding. I freaking love the Wii. I've always been a big Nintendo fan, so I've always wanted a Wii, but I've never been able to find money to afford it. However, I won one in a drawing at my junior after prom event, and I've been addicted to it ever since. Even though I only have 3 games for it, Wii Sports Resort, and Metal Slug Anthology, I always love to find time whenever I can to play it. So, I think the Wii is the best console out on the market. However, it is taken for granted by most quote-unquote hardcore gamers who claim it's nothing but a kid's toy. Please! For years, Nintendo has specialized in games made for kids and adults, and the Wii is no exception. Sure, a lot of the games for it might be considered for kids, but that doesn't mean adults can't like them either. And I find more enjoyment in jumping on Koopas than I do shooting random Germans. So, thanks Nintendo for the Wii. I'll be looking forward to buying more games for it in the future. Now, let's talk about handheld games for a moment. I have a DS and it rules! Alright, that's enough about handhelds. And it seems to be a subject in every single one of my rants, but let's talk about how the video game industry is copying itself. We're living in a copycat generation, so video game systems are finding ways to copy others. For example, Xbox Kinect is a ripoff of PS2's iToy, and PS3's Move is a ripoff of Nintendo's Wii. Yep, you know a video game system is running out of innovations if it's forced to copy a quote-unquote kid's toy. That's another thing. Why do video game systems always feel they need to make random crap tools for their consoles? There's nothing wrong with the system itself. It doesn't need a stinking toy to go along with it. Next thing you know, Xbox will be making the Xbox torture chamber, where it'll be filled with weapons that are used in all of its games, and PS3 will have the exact same thing, seeing as how it shares the majority of its games with the Xbox, just continuing a cycle of copying. It's just a continuing cycle of copying. And I know some classic game systems copied each other, but that was a long time ago, and this is now. So, shut up. And there's my rant on modern video games. Seeing as how I'm not a hardcore gamer, I really don't consider myself an expert on this subject, and I just base my opinions on what I can find and what I observed. It just seems that the only types of games getting attention these days are shooters, Grand Theft Auto games, and RPGs. I just wish that game designers can start coming up with new ideas and there can be more variety in games. And if you're somebody who loves to play those kinds of games, then good for you. I've got nothing against you. But if you're going to invite me over to your house to play those games, I'm not going to have any fun. Ah, who am I kidding? Nobody wants to invite me over to their house. Jobs who thinks video games are causing kids to cause school shootings. No, I'm just a random guy who's tired of hearing all about shooters that are just rehashes of previous shooters. But at least I have my Wii, my Nintendo 64, my PS2, and my DS to keep me satisfied whenever I'm in the mood for a game. I'm just glad the classic games aren't disappearing, so they can balance out all the bland new ones. And if they do vanish, then Lord help me. I'm Ben, and I'm signing out. I'm going to go find somebody to play Beetle Adventure Racing with me.